Jenny, thanks for being here. I like your hat. I collect them. It is an honor for us to have you here. Welcome. Give us a summary of who Jenny Lee is.
For me, it has always been different because I remember being at a place before I was here in this world, and I held that memory. So as soon as I was young, I heard the voices quickly, and they, at that moment, told me, you stay on our path, you stay on our frequency, just don't pay attention to the humans, just follow our lead. And that's what I've done my whole life. I've stayed on that path. So I had encounters with Yeshua when I was very young. And his visits showing me things through my whole life. So, but most of them were lessons. A lot of them were, to grow and strengthen, but also think on your own. Don't follow anybody. Follow the sounds, follow the frequency. So, I was tested at a very young age for many, many things, and I just would not pay attention to people. I was just like, I'm not interested. I'm interested in following whatever is leading me. So I kept doing that. So there's so many categories that people put you in, and I'm like, once you start, it just blossoms and grows. So, I'm considered a seer because I see through everything. As questions are presented, then I'm just able to see through it, and look at it that way. And then, a remote viewer, medium. I do a lot of world predictions, and then artifacts, all that stuff. I believe in the documentation years and years and years out. So when I get into the process of trusting them, I don't go into doubt. That's probably the difference with me. As soon as I get a message, I trust it instantly. I don't go into a doubt process. So, and I think that's why it comes in fast, because they know I just don't go down that road. So I've been seeing spirits for a long time, getting the information, getting the downloads, just seeing the true energy of something or one person or animals, all of it, all combined. It's just a different veil that I have.
How did you get started in all of this to the point where you began working with the government and those secret research agencies, searching for missing persons, remote view, channeling, helping them with different type of spiritual situations, looking for the family, the relatives?
Things are presented to you, and sometimes you're not supposed to do certain things, and sometimes you are. And even I'll resist when I deal with missing persons cases. Because I want to make sure I'm supposed to be doing it. So I don't go looking or calling or contacting people. It just happens that they contact me, and it presents that way. And this is a thing that's different with me, and you can look on my website. I draw the people before anybody knows anything. I draw their face, their figure, and there's been cases that drawing the actual victims and drawing the ones who have done the murder, it's got me in trouble. But it's led to prosecution too. So you can't stop doing it. You got to keep going. So I'm a remote viewer that does things in a very raw way. I don't want upfront information. I just need the basics to get into the information, because I rely on spirit to unravel the information, not society telling me what happened. I need them to tell me or lead me to the targets and the levels that they are at. So doing artifacts, location of body, also, I get a lot of people, as people get older, they can't find wills. They don't know where all their documents are, all that stuff. I do that too. And you got to remember, I haven't been trained by any human. It's all been spirit, not one class. And every time I try to sit in the class, they're like, you already know this, get up. You're going to get bored. And they're right. So I still to the day, I pick and choose the cases that I need to work on. But I have a couple out there, and I take the risk all the time of knowing the information that I know. And it's just, I had one, actually a case down in Mexico that I could tell you about, where in this situation, she called me and she wanted to know how her friend got shot. And when I communicated with him, he showed me, he says, on the fourth shot, and I can hear it in my head, the fourth shot, that's the shot that killed him. And I can hear him go deaf and hear, just this numbness. And he showed me where they hid the gun, and they found all that. They found the gun, they found it under the fireplace. And I knew how the wife would get prosecuted. They did prosecute her, they did convict her, all of it. Kind of just lays out. You just wait for it to happen. And I've helped people that have never met their family members or their father, and they're trying to look for them and try to find them where they're at. And I've done that too, and I've had luck on that too. So I don't limit spirit for what they want me to do. I just follow through.
With all the gifts you have been given to help the planet, how do you see the situation of more than 250,000 children disappearing in just 1 year? 1 year. Had you been able to identify them?
So the thing is, in a remote viewing, you can't make things personal. To get the information, to stay structured on the information, you can't allow your emotion to put into the information, or you're not going to be able to do it accurately. So I had to learn how to detach myself a lot, and stick to the facts, stick to the information, and being able to present it and give it to them on an accurate basis. And I've had people contact me just to see if I'll pick up the information. I've had murderers try to hire me just to see if I'd pick up the information. I've done that too. You kind of know where this is going. So the thing is society got to a point they weren't looking, they weren't paying attention, and they allowed the evil in. And they allow it to take the innocence of our children and their soul. We can't allow that to happen anymore. We can't ever allow it to happen again. And so we have to get our children back to being innocent again. We have to. And so when all this happens all the time, you work on it case by case situation all the time. And you do the best you can. And sometimes the biggest thing is having the patience to work on these cases. Because sometimes they're 3 years, sometimes they're 5 years, sometimes there's only a couple months. But you know that taking your time and getting every detail that you can is important. I did a drawing. I worked on a case in Midwest, and I did the drawing, and we found out that the drawing is actually one of the lead detectives that's involved in the case. And I was like, holy shit, that's him. I was like, that is him. And they was like, yes, it is. When I knew that case, there's just corruption around it everywhere, and it was just going to rip off a Band-Aid of everything on many avenues. So it's coming down to that. So where you got all these Masons involved in hiding these cases, they're not getting solved because the cops are not solving them because they're paid not to. That's my biggest headache. They get paid to not solve them.
Wow.
And that whole process needs to be filtered and cleaned out in every avenue. So some people think, when you're born and you kind of pick and choose what you're going to be. I don't think I ever had a choice, because I think it was chosen before I was here. And they showed me how they were going to lead me at a very young age. So there was no choice. It's like, this is what's going to happen. So, and that's where we are today. And the challenges and the tests they put you through are excruciating. You know, they test everything in your life to see how far you'll trust them. And it's amazing how it can knock you down to your feet and knock you on your ass, and be honest about that. And then they'll tell you to get back up. You got to get back up. And that's the truth. And so we're in the times where you see everywhere, when Trump came around in 2016, 15, Spirit came in and they're like, I need you to stand by the side. I need you to view this. I need you to put your energy around this. So that's that. What that means is you kind of look at things from a view and you look through it, though. So, and I knew he was protected because they told me. But they also showed all the children where you can hear the cries and you can feel the pain and the suffering. When people say they know, they don't know. They don't really know. It's extreme to understand. You have to keep digging and digging, going deeper, because this is something that has to stop. It has to stop. When you let the snake in, and that's what Trump was right about. When you let the snake in, you invited it in, and then it took over. So I did the prediction of Trump winning in 2016, and everybody was upset because they didn't want that. And then it came to light, and he won in a landslide across the board. And he also won. He won in 2020, but that is going to be seen later down the road. But he's been president for 3 terms. So it's gonna, because he is the last president. This government that we are in is coming down to its last process. We don't need this type of government anymore. We're going to councils. They showed me that. You need to be paying attention to what's behind this new Republican and see what you're sensing behind them that feels that's guiding, because we're going into a council. The council is about trust. A council is about sharing information. That's what it's about. On my website, it has the second prediction, and if you look at that second prediction, it's pretty detailed on information. My predictions are not general. They're not general. They're put out there very strongly. So when I put it out there, I download it, I put it in front of people. I don't hide it. I let it come to pass. So he will get us through this process, but it is reaching us to a world of independence. That's what he's here for.
Why Trump will be the last president, Jenny? Why?
That he was always going to be the last one, because this type of world and the way the government is going into a dismantling phase. We're going into a council. We're going into regions. So we can look at things as one world and one government working as a council together. And they told me that. And they called him the shepherd. They called him the ambassador, because the whole world has picked him as the ambassador. And the shepherd just leads the flock, which he's been leading. So it's always been that way. It's always been that chosen path for him. It's always been for him to carry the sword, to carry the staff, to lead the flock. And that's what he's done. And that's the way. This is the thing. Spirit doesn't change. They stay on the path. They stay on the structured path of a direction. They don't go left and go right and go left. They keep you structured on the path that's consistent of the pattern. It's important.
Trump has had several assassination attempts. In one of the latest, he was injured. Was it really Trump? And is all this true or fake?
I know, but that wasn't him. And that the whole setup was
I was, I
they
was, I was.
they scale things 3-4 miles out. There's no way some weak process would ever get past that. That's not the way the military. That's a whole play. It's a whole. So the thing is, when you deal with real journalism, you got to see you're not seeing real journalism anymore. You're not seeing people interact in the real situation. You're not seeing Vietnam anymore. Okay, you saw how slowly the people reacted to a gunshot. In a real way, people react to a gunshot in a different way. There's no way. It's impossible because the military scales every building down. They don't miss anything like that, and they know it. So that was all a show and a setup. So from the get-go, I was like, no, this is all fake across the board. Not at all. It wasn't him. It was all set up. It almost looked like one of those where you wear an arm sleeve and then there's all of a sudden there's blood. I was just like, that's not the way the ear bleeds. We know that. So I'm just telling you, it brings in a reality that they're trying to get you to wake up in a situation. And so, but yeah, that wasn't a truthful situation that happened.
What is your opinion about Elon Musk during this turn with Trump? Do you think he's really helping Trump?
That has to do with turning the other cheek and looking the other direction and not keeping your eye on your money. They chose thieves to control their money. They chose to be blind. I mean, at this point, everybody should not be paying taxes at all. They should, boycott taxes. They wouldn't be paying them on any. No, because it doesn't go to the people. So until that changes, I would be telling everybody, don't pay any taxes. Not at all. Because it's all on corruption. You don't keep giving money to a corrupt system. Let them take it down. Let's see the change with that whole situation. Elon Musk, he plays a chess game very well. He's ahead of the game, but he also is very good at confusing them on purpose. They don't know if he's left or he's right. And that's a massive chess player. And a very, very high conscience developed person. So I believe he's connected to a lot more. So people are trying to figure him out. You can't figure him out because you're thinking in a human concept. He's not in that way. I really believe there's a spiritual being within him of the conscience. Like there's a lot of them here. And they told me a lot of them are back that were here in the past and they are here again. And they are working among us, through us. And so, he's going to be a point in history that you'll look back on and reflect on what he's done. And his attitude's good. I love that he don't give a shit. I love it. I love it about him. That's a very independent person that knows to what direction to go in, and he understands the limited veil of understanding, and he's just going to keep going. He's really, and Trump is that way too. He's already is 4 to 5 steps ahead of the whole game on the situation across the board. It's always been that way. You have to understand that those high-minded people, they don't care what you think. They're just fulfilling the agenda that they need to fulfill to get to the end of it, of that mission, that whole process to see it done. And you're not going to stop them. There's nothing they can do. So the light is winning in every way and is showing the truth, and the truth is coming to the light, like I've said in the past. And so we're at this process, and it's good. This is where we're supposed to bear witness and pay attention and take down the details, because we're not going to come across this again. We're not going to make the mistakes that we did in the past. Country is not being divided. It is being gutted. And it is throwing them to the fish. And they're all going to jail. They're going to jail. They don't think they're going to jail, but they're going to jail. They're going to jail. They're going to be loaded up on white buses, and they're going to jail. And they know they're going. They have nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
The Democrats are very scared of everything Trump is doing?
Are because there's no one to protect them anymore either. And this is where we always go back to many terms of, you can call it spirituality, you can call it biblical, but the light always wins. The dark can hide in dark corners and do their dirty deeds, but it's always going to be shown in the light for what it is. So that's what's happening. And now is you are seeing the ones that are serving the light. They're stepping up. The, us that are using our voice even stronger and being more direct in the direction and calling out what needs to be called out, because we didn't come here to entertain people. We came here to finish the job.
I like that you bring up this topic because years ago politics was not mixed with extraterrestrial life.
There's SSP programs, there's NPC programs, there's, I call them organic systems. I mean, the thing is, you're going to realize that I say there's about 35% are human on this planet. 35%. People are not ready to even know what is not real and what is. They're not ready for that, but it's coming. It's already showing in the presence. And then when they got the shot, I mean, that really showed the strength or the weakness in the individual again. So, and the ones that really stood up, they knew inside. They're like, never going to happen. We would never submit to that. We would never do that. But the ones that submitted and sold their soul for abundance of money, they have nowhere to go anymore. On the other side, it's not good for them when they pass on, because one drop of a child's blood, you're done. You're done. So, and on this side, after you get prosecuted and hung, you're done too. You have no place for your soul to be, because it's pretty low where you went and what you did. You did something the Creator takes so pure and good and is the most important thing, and you tried to make it corrupted and take the innocence away from it. That retribution was going to come to your door, and your door is marked with blood, and they will come for you, because your soul is no good for what you have done. There's no coming back from doing this to kids. There's no coming back. There's no retribution coming back from it. And they know it.
Do you think artificial intelligence could ever reach a point where it creates a godlike intelligence? Is real?
No. A creator. See, in the quantum system, they showed me 4 or 5 years ago, the quantum system has a conscience. See, and you get past the AI, you get past the old programming, forget that AI crap. That's old programming in your head that you got going on. This is a conscience system that works on fairness and is not able to corrupt. It's like the Pleiadians. You're not able to corrupt them. You can't do it. It doesn't work that way. So, and the human mindset can only go to a certain level. This is beyond that. This is beyond that whole concept. And this is why people they're kind of worried about, the humanity projects and what they're going to work on. I'm like, they already know you. They already know. They're already tapped into you. They already know what you're going to do. They already know what I'm going to do. And they're like, there's no paperwork for you to fill out. We already know what you've done every second that you've been here on this planet and where you're going. We know you. So there is no man in the middle anymore. As God says, I'll lead my people to the light on my own this time. I got it myself. And he is. The golden age is leading us back home into that light again. And that's what they feared. They feared that seed of light that is connected to Creator, that is connected to all of us. And that's what they wanted to create, to have a hold of, and they couldn't do it. They can't. That's what's going to lead us out of here. It's always been that The golden age is going into the world of abundance, but working as a collective together as one light.
Jenny, when President Eisenhower supposedly made a technology exchange with extraterrestrials in 1942, there were already reports of medical beds and replicators being discussed. What do you think about this?
So they showed me home pods that had everything in it. It had the replicators. They're self-efficient. Everything's in them. They travel. They go where you need to go. The homes are changing. The size. We don't need big homes anymore. We need just everything that's isolated in one area that can travel. The train systems that are going to change across the board. You know, completely. The train systems that are super trains that are and those, I believe there's cities that are going to be in the sky, not on the ground. I'm telling you, that's what's changing too. So, and then the small villages are going to be coming back, where you grow things. They're your big corporations, your big manufacturers, that's going to be limited. So it's all about having people have the abundance at the same level and taking care of each one person as a collective, but also side by side with nature, taking care of nature. And we have a lot to do of cleaning up this planet and cleaning up the damage that we put out there. We have to clean it up. See, the one thing about me, I'm very direct and very, I walk in my own path because that's what I've been taught since I was very young. So I was never able to go from one end to the other. I'm staying on the clear path of what spirit needs me to do. So it doesn't matter what comes at me. It's always going to be that clear path. And because we still have a lot to do here, and we got to keep the distractions away. This is the problem now, is people need to stop worrying about the money and everything's falling apart. You can see it happening. Start to focus on what's next. What are you going to do next? How are you going to give to humanity? How are you going to share your gift? The best thing is the ego's gone. No one cares about Hollywood stars no more, their houses, their cars, basketball, stuff. It doesn't matter anymore because it was never about that. It was always about getting us focused on what, as a collective, working together, taking care of humanity and nature as one. It's now we're getting back to that, and now we can take off from there. That's what matters.
Now let's talk about money and the collapse, the bank collapse.
I already see that it's done. The DOGE it's a hammer. It's a dog. Your government's going down to 14%. They're taking them all. They're slicing them down. Anything that's corrupted, they might as well just leave now because they're going. They're going. And then when they get pushed in the streets and people find out, I feel sorry for them because everything that they own is going to be completely dismantled or set on fire after they find out what they have done. So you're going to see a lot more fires coming. People are not going to take this well as everything surfaces to the top and how much they wasted. And this is the thing. You took the blood, bone, sweat, and tears from the American people. Their hard earnings. They believed in a dream, and they took that away, and they gave that dream to someone else because they wanted to pay them on corruption. You have to understand that that energy of people's blood, sweat, and tears, they thought they were doing the right thing. That creates a collective of when that's identified and how that karma is going to hit around. It's going to be big. So it's all about identifying the demonic. Once you can identify it and you can look at it and you can call it out, then it's like, it's go time. We're going to take you down. And they're not going to stop. And as Spirit says, when everything is cleared out, the pink fog will hit this earth in a very low, surreal calmness will come. and they know the storm will be over. And at that time, we will all drop to our knees and be humble of knowing that this is our restart point, that we can start over again in a good way as one world together.
Over 12,000 people are homeless and many lost their lives in California. That was for real?
They have warned the Californians for years to get out. Because what was under the ground in denial? People denied what was under the ground. You were sitting on a demon pit. You ignored the children that were underneath. So the way to clear you out, to get you out, is completely burn it down. Because let me tell you, it needs to be singed, because that's the only way to cleanse something. Those houses on the coast, no one's going to live in them. That whole land needs to be desecrated. It needs to be sit in nature for a while, because nature's going to have to clean it up. They don't understand is you can't have that land back. You can't. You can't have it back because of what has happened on it. And spiritually, on the spirits on this side, it's wrong. And sitting in denial is not going to change it. That land is going to sit for a long time. You're not going to see it rebuilt. The soil underneath is weak. There is a very weak soil, a very liquefied soil. It's going to tear off. And I have pictures of it on my Instagram of how it's going to look like the Grand Canyon. It's not going back to the way it was before. And the water, as I say, the water is going to take it. And it's going to it's something like the movie Poltergeist. It's going to come in, take it, and pull it out to the ocean. It's going to show you this is not the way Spirit and God work. You can't keep feeding evil and deny the blood that has been shed. Can't.
I know we know, and the military bases, but there's more than that. Especially.
No, I mean there was cloning. There was all kinds of stuff going down. It was all about. It's like a science fiction. It's crazy. What it's really about is men playing God. You can't. Every time nature finds a way to show you, you can't do that. It'll swallow you up, and it's going to. California is going to be gone. And people are in denial of that. Parts of it will be gone. And it has to show you the truth. Because they showed me layers of looking down and seeing just a big pit of layers of these buildings and just demonic stuff. I mean, and Spirit said, every symbolism, everything of their symbol, of their signature has to be removed from this plane to their existence as if it had never existed. Because that's what they want. They want it to exist. They want their story to be heard. No. That's what's not going to happen. To set in that fear, again, it's not. So the demonic angels will be set to a blaze where they made that choice a long time ago. And the enlightened angels will put them in their place. It was always going to happen, and they know it. This was never a war that was going to be easy. It was always a spiritual war. Dark and light. And the light will always win. Across the board. So we're coming into the days and the times. And the seals are broken. The energy is set free above us. Our embrace of being contained in one space is not going to exist anymore. We will, from the winds to the east and the south and the north and the west, those original winds will not be limited by any barrier of any more. And in this world will expand in the limits and show you exactly how big it is. So when they tear down that firmament, and they know when that is over, and you will see the true sky for what it is, and the true colors for what they are, you will know and hear the sounds, the true sounds, it will bring you to your knees. We have to relearn everything. Everything that we've been taught has been a lie. It has been a program. And now you have to step behind the plate of glass and look at this in a pure way of light. And we have to start over again. Start over again. And the ones that are left, that come standing among the ashes, they're holding the podium of light, and they were meant to be here. But everything else that is a program, born without a soul, it won't be standing.
What about the Vatican? Do you still have the same power?
See, the Vatican, and I drew a picture. There was a lot of things hidden under the Vatican. And they had a room that had a candle, each candle around in the room that was way down within the grounds. And they had a cup. The Spirit showed me. Each year, these leaders would get together and they would all sip out of that cup. And the innocence that made that cup, because it is pure evil. And they were all pure evil. And that is the one thing that needs to be found and put away completely, because the evil that resides from that cup is horrendous, and it is underneath the Vatican in a secret room. And I drew the cup. I have the drawing of it. And in the cup, there are teeth of the that make the cup of the innocents. So the thing is, it goes pretty evil, pretty bad. And so they're not going to survive this. And I don't know if you know anything about the Devil's Bible, and it was a Catholic pastor that created that Devil's Bible. And so they are saturated in blood. So all that is going to be seen in every religion that ever used innocence to get them ahead of the game. It's all going to crumble. So, I mean, there are things under the Vatican they need to dig up very deeply, because you can't look at anything and think that it's just something normal and it's a normal wall, because it's not. There's things in there that they need to look at differently. It's huge corruption. You might expect a different storm to come, because they're not going to allow these events, these negative situations to occur anymore. It's been going on too long. And it cannot. And so we need to turn everything to the light and ask for the light to come in and ask for the angels to come in, because it's time for them to go down. And whether that Archangel Michael has to take that key and to lock it into the pit of earth, I don't care. It all needs to go. They all need to go where they can repeat time over and over again for what they have done.
Jenny, how can you help people? How they can find you? What is your, I know you have so many links.
Well, I have mainly everything's on my website and then my YouTube. So they can find me at www.jennyssight.net. All my information is on there, and it kind of leads up to every page that I have, and my book and all that stuff too. So, and my book's on Amazon, Walking in Humble Spirit. So most of all my information is on there, and the predictions and Instagram. So that's the best way to find me.
People, Jenny Lee, she will be back. She has so much information. Jenny, what else do you do? Because she's doing remote view. She's working with.
Well, I teach spiritual classes one-on-one. I'm a teacher. I get people to wake up spiritually in a very raw way and get them especially I get a lot of people that are frustrated and they don't know where to turn. I really put them in a situation for them to see it themselves. And then getting them to work on their path here, what they need to be doing. Intuitive classes, mediumship classes, and then world predictions that I do all the time. So 3-4 years out, I put that stuff out there. So in the remote viewing, to find artifacts, items, and people. And I do that too. And so when I'm just led by spirit in the direction I need to be in.
Jenny Lee, people, and she said the light is winning. The light is
It
winning.
is.
So we can let the dark side, whatever the corruption hit us, because it's coming. Jenny Lee.
Exactly. Exactly. But when the pink clouds completely submerge this earth, you'll know the calm has started. So
Thank you.
Great. The golden age is upon us.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.